Here's this week's Steam Code Raffle winner. I give a Steam code for a free game away with every video I do, and all you have to do to enter is leave a comment that wouldn't violate Twitter's terms of service. Make sure you have contact info in your YouTube profile so I can reach out to you. A complete list of games to choose from is in the description below. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a chance to win. Now on with the show. I'm playing something almost every week, and sometimes I want to talk about it and give you a vertical slice. So stick with me for some lightning reviews. This week on the chopping block. This week I've been playing the remaster of Goldeneye 64. This one was rather convenient. Between big name releases, trying to juggle a full-time job, working out enough to make sure my body's not going to fall into decay, and all while maintaining a weekly upload schedule, I'm often left agonizing over how I'm going to balance my workload and still leave myself enough downtime to ensure that I'm not going to lose my mind any more than I already have. Fortunately, one means that allows this is to occasionally dive into the odd remake or remaster that triggers me right in the nostalgia, hence Goldeneye 64. I did play it back in the day, but it wasn't my go-to thing. I do remember finishing all the main campaign stuff, and I did occasionally have a multiplayer match where obviously someone ended up getting bullied for the night picking Oddjob, but I have much stronger memories for things like Super Smash Bros. Or Excitebike 64. Given my memory fading on certain aspects of the game, I decided to go back and give it a try, and my choices were between the Nintendo Switch or the Xbox version. This is where my first hurdles and the souring of my impressions started. Nintendo has locked it behind their online subscription service, which I've resolutely said I'm going to avoid for as long as I humanly can. I was initially more pleased when I heard that Xbox players were going to get it as a free upgrade to the Rare Replay compilation, a title that I absolutely love and have in physical form. It was also an option if you subscribe to the Xbox Game Pass, which I also don't really see any need to have. I already own way too many games that I can access at any given time. So I decided to check out the Xbox version. But wait, there's more bullshit. I go and put in my disc for the Rare Replay, only to be met with the realization that you can't get it on the physical version. Only the digital. Apparently, according to an article I found, they couldn't manage to hammer out the licensing details for individuals that had the physical version, so I ended up needing to buy it again digitally. Apparently, licensing is also the main reason that we haven't been able to get it re-released for so long. According to a brief documentary by Larry Bundy Jr., the intellectual property holders of 007 are incredibly stringent with who they lease their intellectual properties out to, and are paranoid that they must maintain absolute control on how incarnations of James Bond are represented. Apparently, they couldn't care less about the quality of the individual games, though. But that's enough ranting about the corporate f***ery going on behind the scenes that led this to taking 20-something years to see an official re-release. You probably want to know about its quality. Well, impressions did not start off good. The first time I tried to boot it up, the game's visuals froze on one of the idents and stuck there until I rebooted the title from the home menu. However, once I was able to get the game to start proper, I was able to pick things up pretty darn quickly. I thought the game translated rather well to an Xbox controller from the original N64 monstrosity. And don't think I'm being demeaning to the original hardware here. I love the N64, but everyone can acknowledge its controller is weird as hell. Now, the controls handle fine, but one should be aware that this is by and large a straight port of the original N64 game. That means there are a lot of long-since established features and mentalities that have not been implemented. The main way this manifests is there are no objective markers or means to know exactly how to interact with certain environments or elements. Particularly when objectives require attaching spy items manually, with said items just in your inventory at the start of the mission with little to no explanation. Additionally, the game doesn't have a devoted use function. What I mean by that is in modern games, you'll usually come across an area where some specific objectives need to be done. You'll just walk up to the space and press a button to interact with the environment, and the objective will be done. In Goldeneye 64, if your objective is to place an electronic monitoring device, you actually have to throw it onto the terminal, and you only get one chance to do it, so if for some reason you miss, then you can't pick the item up again, and you'll have to start the mission over again from the very start. This was quite frankly infuriating in some of the levels. However, this didn't turn into a deal breaker because most of the levels are actually rather short, with several of them being beatable in a matter of a couple of minutes if you know what you're doing. But going back to objective markers, that feature could have made some levels a lot more convenient to navigate. I'm also not saying the markers should have been mandated, just put it in as an additional feature for modern convenience. I ended up backtracking multiple times through some levels trying to figure out where the objective was that I needed to perform in order to progress the story. In fact, you can actually fail levels because you can successfully navigate an environment, but if you don't complete the objectives on the way, then you'll have to play again. Ironically, this actually struck me in a slightly positive light because I'm so used to games hand-holding so that nothing can be missed. However, I can appreciate having my observation and assessment skills being tested. As I said prior, it's lacking a lot of sensibilities that one might expect from modern titles, but if you like old games, warts and all, you may not be disappointed. Unfortunately, there were a few additional warts in the transition and porting process. Graphically, I'm not going to be angry about the character models looking the way they do. I mean, I'm the kind of individual that can plug in an original N64 into an HD TV and be perfectly content with my gameplay experience. However, in the emulation process, I did notice some weird texture effects going on at long ranges. Honestly, looking hard at this version, there are a fair number of cracks that come into view, but on the other hand, I genuinely appreciate that it at least exists for people to play in a way that could be considered easier than having to track down original hardware. Speaking of which, the differences for the Xbox and Switch versions are the Switch version has online multiplayer, but the Xbox version has higher resolution. Neither of these factors affected my purchase decision. So long as the look is cohesive, then I don't care if it has ultra-high definition textures, and as far as the online multiplayer aspect, if you can't reach over and smack someone for daring to pick Oddjob, then you're not playing it right. In the end, I'm left incredibly mixed about this experience. To reiterate, I like how it's being brought to modern systems so people can easily enjoy it, but the bare-bones nature of the porting, and the lack of improvements that could have been made given everything that's happened in the year since its initial release, leave me feeling occasionally unsatisfied, if not genuinely frustrated. Especially when compared to the relatively recently leaked Xbox 360 version that was made that shows a potentially much higher quality product. It leads me to believe there should be some entity similar to Child Protective Services, except that they can take away intellectual properties from boneheaded companies. But if that were the case, they'd need to do a no-knock raid on Konami headquarters first.
In the official Konami shop, all these products are now available. Please check it out.
FBI, open up!
I'll conclude by saying that Goldeneye 64 on the Xbox is fine, but it's clear they could have done far better. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to start working towards unlocking the Egypt and Aztec levels. Hey, look at that, it's the end of the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember that commenting can actually win you a free prize. So until next time, this is Gheeotine saying thanks for watching and keep your head on your shoulders.